Hi everyone, I'm Ward, and welcome to my channel Wardrawsalot. If there's one thing I'm always going to like, it's dolls. Whether they're girl dolls, boy dolls, if they're big, small, if they look creepy, or if they don't, I really like dolls. This is one of my dolls, and I thought it was about time I drew her a brother. So I opened up my sketchbook and started sketching out the concept of what her brother would look like. We'll be using the girl doll as a reference on how to draw our boy doll because they are brother and sister. Of course, there can be some pretty big genetic differences when it comes to siblings and how they look, but for the most part, I kind of wanted them to look pretty similar. As you can see from the picture, the doll has some pretty fair skin, with yellow undertones and hints of orange for blush on the apples of her cheeks, along with what looks like a lipstick, but it could also just be her lip color, and they wanted to define it a little bit more by putting the orangish color there, you know? She has these big beautiful eyes with what looks like her iris color is like a grayish blue, almost maybe like a darker blue color, which are accompanied by these painted on lashes. I think usually dolls like these don't have like hair lashes on them because they're not the type of doll that when you tip them over, their eyes would close, so they would need the lashes there to help kind of, I'm guessing, weigh that down. So as a result, her lashes are painted on instead. There are probably dolls who don't have the eyelid closing ability that still have lashes, but I think the painted lashes are a little bit more clean and nice looking, personally, instead of the fake lashes that they give the dolls, because sometimes I feel like they're done cheaply and they end up falling off anyway, you know? Her hair is this beautiful golden color that has beautiful highlights. I don't know how the hell she has such great highlights. And they curl up really well from front to back. So it's really curly, I'm gonna call it Goldilocks hair, with some squared off bangs that hang just right above her eyes. For her outfit, we have a pale blue dress. That's the best way I could describe it. Maybe like a colonial dress, but I'm not too sure. That has this white flower pattern on it with hints of pink, along with green for the leaves. On top of the dress is this white laced pattern apron. It looks like it has a flower pattern as well to kind of match the outfit. She also has these simple white lace-up shoes with white socks, and then under that would be the under part of the dress. I think it's like a kind of underwear, but it's not underwear because it's an older kind of fashion. You know what I mean? Like, this is what underwear used to look like in the day, not what we currently have now. It was literally like another pair of pants under your clothes. I think that this doll also had a hat to kind of complete the whole outfit, but when I got her, there was no hat on her head, and honestly, I'm not sure how to look up what kind of doll this is to see if it does come with a doll hat either, but she does have a hole on the top of her head, which I think would be covered by the hat if she did have one. So yeah, so I don't know where that is, but that's just my speculation of the doll. Now that I've sat down and described every feature of the doll and took into consideration her design, I went ahead and sketched out her brother's design. For the face shape, I wanted to make sure it was different enough from his sister. So his sister has a fairly round face, while I gave his a little bit more angular. Usually girls' faces are rounder and boys' faces are a little bit sharper. It's not always the case, of course, because, you know, genetics. But for the most part, that's the distinction between the two faces. The nose I kept relatively the same, but the mouth for the brother, I made sure to give it a little bit more personality because the sister is just kind of sitting there with a slight smile, but for him I wanted to pull off a kind of doughy-eyed expression, so to use that to my advantage, I made the mouth and the eyes and the overall face expression kind of look amazed, so it looks like he's looking at an object and he's going, ooh. Like, that's the only way I could describe it. I've been sitting here for 10 minutes trying to figure out how to describe what his mouth is doing, but that's it. He's just going like, ooh, look at this, you know? To make sure that I really pushed through that emotion, I made the eyes a little bit bigger and, like, bewildered, you know what I mean? Like, it's interested in something off to the side, which is also why I had his eyes kind of locked over to the side, because, you know, when you have a doll, usually it can only have one expression on its face, Unless it's one of those really old-fashioned dolls that had like 2 or 3 faces on one head, and you can kind of twist and turn them around. Or if it was those like Mycene dolls back in like 2006 or something, where there was a button on the back that you could change her expression with, which was honestly really fucking cool. And I'm so happy I had that doll, because I would like make so many like pretend arguments with the with the dolls, and they just pull off the nastiest expression. For his hair, I really wanted to play on the fact that his sister has these really beautiful coils in her hair. So for him, I just wanted to make it super curly and coily. Realistically, maybe the curls and the coils would look a little bit different than what I drew over here. I don't know how to draw super curly, coily hair, but I do it in my way, so I kind of push that through for myself. But it would look a little bit different on an actual doll than here, because here it kind of looks like a mound of curls, which is okay with me. I like a mound of curls anyway, but to kind of match more of the vibe of his sister, this is what the coils would look like a little bit more, so it could kind of push together that, you know, they're siblings a little bit more. But I do like the way it came out in the drawing regardless. Now, moving on to the outfit that I did for him. Of course, I had to do it different than his sister's, because his sister is wearing a dress. Now, me personally, I don't give a shit. I'll draw a dress on dude if I want. But I wanted to kind of push through that he's an old-fashioned doll a little bit more. So what I did is I researched what kind of outfits these boy dolls would wear. And a lot of the time they were kind of like a sailor uniform or uniform-esque type of thing that they would wear. And they were kind of dressed more on the dapper side, you know? So I wanted to kind of push that aspect by giving him a little sailor uniform myself. And I made sure to keep within the color scheme of his sister. So I used mostly white and blue. And there's going to be hints of brown in the outfit because of his matching teddy bear along with his shoes. Now, when I was drawing this entire spread, I wanted to make sure that I did a zoom up of his face, because I feel like that's the most important aspect of the entire doll. So I did one whole page of just his face, his hair, and kind of really showing the details of everything. And then on this side of the sketchbook, I did 2 different poses. The first pose is of him holding his teddy bear, which I made his accessory, because you know how I stated earlier that I think his sister had an accessory that was her hat, but she lost the hat, or was lost somewhere in transit or something, I don't know. She's a very old doll, so it's honestly incredible that she's even lasted this long and looks this good. But yeah, as a result, I gave her brother an accessory, which is a teddy bear. Then the pose over, which is him kind of like standing over and doing this like silly pose, I thought that just would like kind of help push his character a little bit further, because he is so doughy-eyed and like almost like an empty-headed character, that I really think that doing that kind of pose really pushes that through. I did make his feet extra large on purpose, by the way. I feel like the proportions when it comes to dolls, like, nobody gives a shit because it's a doll. They could have giant heads, small hands, whatever. And I just really wanted to give him huge feet. It was just something in my head that was like, do it. Give him the Sora feet. Give him the Kingdom Hearts Sora feet. Just do it. Now, as I stated earlier, his outfit is going to be very simple when it comes to colors, just like his sister's, because she has mostly a blue patterned fabric, or like a blue fabric with a white flower pattern. There we go. I wanted to try and keep it around that same color scheme, so I did give him like the blue collar and blue stripes on the outfit, along with a pair of blue shorts, so this way it all kind of ties in together nicely. I also decided that I'm not going to be using too many different blues. Now, whenever I do color something in, I use multiple shades of blue and gradients and all this stuff to kind of, you know, make it look a little bit nicer personally, because I just like the look of gradients and stuff. But this time I decided to stick with one main color for the blues in his outfit, just because I would think, like, if it's an older doll and it's usually a boy doll, and the ones that I've seen on the internet, usually they're pretty simple when it comes to colors. I think they save the more complex and patterns and designs for the girl dolls to kind of make sure you know the difference between the two, you know? This is especially the case for like older boy dolls, but the newer aged ones are way different now. They have so many different colors and designs in their outfits and stuff like that. And I think, you know, society back then, thinking of what a boy would wear versus society now, what a boy would wear, is two completely different thoughts. So, like, I think that when it comes to dolls now, it's a much different story for both girl and boy dolls. But for this case, like I said before, because it is an older doll, I definitely wanted to try and keep that idea of what her brother would look like in that time period. Now, for the accessory, which you can see here, is the teddy bear. What I did to keep him cohesive to the color scheme is for the inside of his ears, his, like, snout, and his palms of his hands and belly, I used the same base color there as the hair, so it kind of looks cohesive. And along with the bear's accessory, which is a little bow tie, I made it the same color as the brother's outfit. And these eyes are a nice blue button eyes, which I thought would kind of look cute on the bear along with everything. And the nose I decided to make a nice blue as well. When it came to the line art, I was very, like, wishy-washy on whether I should or should not do line art, because I really liked the way it looked without the line art, and I contemplated just kind of taking, like, a coloring pencil instead and, like, doing it that way, lining it with a color pencil so it would look even softer. But I don't know, I ended up being like, you know what, let's use a line art, but instead of using black line art, which can make something look a little bit more harsh, especially when it's up against such light colors like you see here, I ended up using colors for the line art that were like the colors for the part that I was lining. I know that sounded like a lot, but it's basically like if the hair is blonde, I used like a light brown liner, and the skin tone, since it's lighter, I used like a light brown liner there. For the eyelashes, I ended up using like a nice blue liner to kind of push through his blue eyes. And for the lips, I used it's called, I think, red wine or something, like that's the color, like a red liner basically for the lips. So depending on the area that I am lining, I am using the respective lining color for that area so it still looks like a soft drawing. I do think the most important, like, finishing touch when it came to the drawing 100% was the white gel pen. Especially because a lot of these dolls will have such big highlights around their eyes and faces, and sometimes are even painted in. I feel like it really helped push the whole doll and doughy eye aspect of the character because of the white line art, and I made sure that when I did do the white line art, I did it on one side and let it dry first, because sometimes I've noticed with this book, or with a lot of books honestly, that if you do the white gel pen and you don't let it dry, it transfers on to the next page, and I really don't want that to happen with this drawing, because I've noticed it happens to so many of my drawings, bro. And I'm like, damn, there's a white dot in the middle of somewhere, and I'm like, yo, I don't like it. But I'm trying to see that if I just let it dry out much better and like give it its time to breathe on the paper, this way it'll kind of like not transfer over to the other side. So like I said, I added it to the eyes, the cheeks, the nose, the highlight, and the lips, so it can kind of look like a nice, like, soft or juicy lip, like it's not dried out or anything, which I noticed they do for a lot of dolls as well. But on the girl doll that I have, they didn't put a highlight on the lip, which now I'm kind of contemplating if I should go in with like a white pen, or like a, not pen, but like a white paint, a white acrylic paint, and then draw in the highlight myself, because I feel like it's just prettier, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a prettier thing to look at if you do. Also, when it came to lining the drawing, I really wanted to make sure that the big drawing on the left, like the close-up of his face, that I did not mess up. So what I did for that part of the drawing in advance is, off of camera, I went ahead and kind of drew the eyelashes, because, like, me personally, when I'm lining, I'd be kissing the paper. I'm like right next to it, and I'm like, yo, I need to get the line down as perfectly as possible. And sometimes that's difficult to do with my phone hanging over the paper, and like, instead of, you know, it getting my big head in the way of drawing. It instead gets the drawing. I did the thing that I was worried about most off of camera, which again was the eyes, and then continued on with the rest because I just thought it would be easier. The other two drawings I wasn't too worried about because I just, again, wanted the concept of everything. It wasn't a finalized drawing, but the one I did want to be finalized or like look the most finished was the drawing on the left. Overall, this is the finished drawing, and I really, really love the way he came out. It's been so long since I did anything in my sketchbook, and I miss it so much, and I hope that I can make more time to do drawings like this in my sketchbook, because I really miss it. So yeah, thanks for watching, and remember I love you. Bye!